Namaste and good morning, everyone. Today is a Wednesday class, so let's do some prayers first, and then we'll continue with our Manisha Panchakum verses. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parbrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitra Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. Asto Ma Sadgamya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamya. Om Sahana Abdu Sano Bhunaktu Saviryam Karvavahi Tejasvi Navadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahi. Om Shanti 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 Om. So Manisha Panchakum, these are the verses we are going through. We finished in the last couple of classes the introduction and the first two verses also. So there are three more verses left. And I did send these verses to you in our WhatsApp group. So hopefully you have noted them down. So it's important to know word by word also these verses. So the third verse, and we did look at the words, let me give you the meanings now. Śaśvanna and nashvaram eva. This is the very first word. Śaśvan means appears to continue, and nashvaram perishing or impermanent. So together it means although appears to continue, perishing and impermanent, eva viśvamakhilaṁ. All such worlds. And which worlds is talking about? So waking world, the dream world, the deep sleep world. Those are the worlds. Niścitya, clearly understand and affirm. Vācāguroraḥ, based on the teachings of the Guru. So this is the first line. Second line is nityaṁ, everlasting, brahma, nirantaraṁ, changeless, vimṛśatā, by contemplating on this knowledge. Nirvyāja, clear mind or a blemishless intellect. śāntātmanā, focused and peaceful mind. Third line, bhūtaṁ, past, bhāvi, present and the forthcoming. duṣkṛtaṁ, results due to knowingly and unknowingly performed actions. Pradahatā, completely burnt. Saṁvinmaye, in the knowledge absolute. Pāvake, that burns. Last and the fourth line, prārabdhāya, the root cause of this present life form. Prārabdhāya. Samarpitaṁ, completely accepted. Svavapur, gross bodies. Purityeṣā, beholder of such wisdom. That means the real Guru, the real preceptor. Manīṣā, Mam. Mam means my, Manisha is a determinate knowledge or the conclusive wisdom. Manisha. So he's telling us in this verse, And who is telling us? The Adi Shankaracharya ji. The entire universe, although appears to be continuing, is perishing and forever changing. The Brahma indeed is permanent, everlasting, and undifferentiated and peerless, like a blemishless. With clear intellect and serenely focused mind, whoever engages in the steadfast contemplation of this truth, truth means the Brahma is permanent, everything else is not, attains the infinite knowledge in the flame of which all his burdens due from past, present, and future actions are completely burned. So that means the Sanchit Karam, the Kriyaman Karam, or even the effect of the Prarabdha Karam. Completely accepts the prevailing bodily existence as only due to his past actions and merely be the witness to its consequences. Such a person is the Guru. This is my determinate knowledge or conclusive wisdom. So this is a translation of this verse number 3. After explaining the identification and the unification of Jivatma and Ishwar in the first 2 verses, he is giving us the instruction or the methods by which such a superior wisdom can be obtained. And once we obtain this wisdom, or in order to obtain this wisdom, we need unwavering commitment for our sadhana. Then we can realize the ultimate benefit. This is what he is telling us in this verse. So knowing the self as the Atma and its oneness with the universal self is the highest order of a human endeavor. Sure, we do a lot of other duties, a lot of actions we do, but this is the most important, the supreme. So the first lesson in this verse is to identify the chief qualifications to acquire such wisdom in this birth itself. Should not postpone it anymore. So that's why the foremost quality is the blemishless intellect or untainted mind. We all know that it's very difficult to achieve and maintain a clear intellect. We also know how to get it, but in order to reach there, it's difficult for most of the people. Because it requires complete annihilation of desires. Kamana. Yet there is another way to progress towards this goal. We cannot completely annihilate all the desires, but we can change the character of our mind though. Because desires are the one which color our mind. So let's work on purifying our desires. Have the desires where the goodness of the heart is felt. Then the mind will become taintless and intellect clear. Or the sattvic desires, if you want to use that terminology. But in order to do that also, first we need to know what to bring goodness in our heart. And then secondly, we got to faithfully seek only those desires which are forever pure. And this is what this word nirvyāja means in the second line. With that kind of a clear intellect, untarnished heart, śāntātmanā, or the serenely focused mind will be attained. A calm or serene mind is the result of avoiding rajasic desires, passionate desires. A calm mind is the perfect instrument for focus. And how do we do that? By practice of yoga. The calm mind becomes a supremely focused mind towards the objective. That's why qualifications such as yam and the niyam, they are prescribed in Ashtanga Yoga. That is a science of yoga. So those are the fundamental requirements if a person wants to achieve to this level. Or you can say the very first two steps on the ladder of evolvement. Yam and the niyams. Yam has 5 sub-parts to it. Ahimsa, satya, ste, brahmacharya, aparigraha. I'm sure you're all familiar with those. And the niyam, shauch, santosh, tap, swadhyaya, ishwar pranidhan. That's why these are preliminary practices. Then after that, we study directly under a teacher. Or we can study indirectly through the scriptures, or the listening to the words of the truly learned. But the effect of the scriptures and effect of the words will be only if we are following the yam and the niyams also. When our search is sincere and the personal qualifications are appropriate, it will become very easy to walk on this path or even identify a real guru. Because if our own eyes are not clear, we cannot identify. Even God can be in front of us. Like in front of Duryodhan, Lord Krishna was there. He did not recognize him because his own mind was not clean. Heart was not pure. So clear intellect, serenely focused mind, and the guidance of the Guru are the most fundamental requirements for self-realization. That has been described in these verses. And the word niścitya in the first line of this verse indicates the next important quality required for the student of self-inquiry, niścitya. That means having a very clear understanding and holding an unwavering devotion or adherence to that understanding. So the identification and unification of the Jivatma and Paramatma or Ishwar is the supreme knowledge. And once it is acquired, a steadfast commitment to that wisdom is necessary. That's what niścitya means. Because the main impediments to endure commitment are recurrence of undue doubts. So when we have a doubt in our mind, we cannot walk on this path. So in the process of learning, sure, we have questions. questions should be asked, but the faith in the word of the Guru and the scriptures must be there. There shouldn't be a doubt there. So when we are asking a question, we should see what is in our mind. Is there out of doubt we are asking a question? Or we want to clarify what we have learned, it's not clear to us, and that's why we are asking. So questions are good, but questioning the authority is not good. So putting a question, asking a question, that's definitely healthy. But we got to make sure that the process of how we ask a question, and are we asking a question because we want to further the pursuit of knowledge, or we just want to argue endlessly? When the knowledge which is free of doubts is achieved, it must be endured in our contemplation with absolute faith. That is a Shraddha. And by subsequently inflicting with doubts only means the lack of faith. So if you just keep on going again and again, the same thing, that means faith is not there. So that's why nishtha, or unwavering adherence to the principles, is a very difficult and tedious task. It definitely demands care. And we got to tend it precisely. Only with this kind of a nishtha one can achieve the true equanimity and progress towards that supreme goal, nishtha. This kind of a seeker raises above others in the world. We can see a little difference in this kind of aspirant. There's a glowing light in this kind of a student. And that light is coming from the wisdom. And from this wisdom, the burden of outcome due to him from all his actions in the past, present, and future are completely burnt. Normally, there's a lot of weight on our heart and mind from the karmas. When those karmas are burnt, then there's a light. There's no expectation. Only then a person can dwell into the self with the realization that all worlds are but unreal. This is what it really means. They are temporary. Why do I need to carry a burden? I alone as the Atma persists forever as the ultimate Sat Chit Ananda. With such determination, he disowns even his body and completely submits his bodily existence to the discretions of the prārabdhāya. That's what it means over here. Prārabdhāya refers to the burdens of one's actions that have already started to rectify. Because of the prārabdhāya, we have gotten this type of a body. So everyone ought to submit to this prārabdha while living in this world. The seeker completely surrenders his body to the course of actions as dictated by his prārabdha. To this person, the body is a detached, laden weight and disowned. So that's why there's no I consciousness attached to the body. None of his actions are subjected to the laws of karma anymore. He is eternally free. Such a seer is known as a realized soul or a Jivan Mukta. The deep desires and the attachments to our actions and their consequences, both good and bad, are permanently stored in our mind. So that's why we need to clean those. As long as these stacks of entries remain in our mind, they are to be expended through different embodiments in the future. So that's why this is the time, right now is the time to clean it all. Because when these are not completely exhausted in the current life, then a new birth is required in order to carry out these burdens of karma. This is the time. So for the Jivan Mukta, there's no fear anymore. Jivan Mukta has no burden of accumulated karmas because they have been burnt. How did he burn it? In the fire of knowledge. And what is that fire of knowledge? That I am not this. I am the Atma, which is eternal. I'm not this temporary body or temporary mind. So he is free of consequences of any actions due to his complete disengagement with the current embodiment. This person is no more bound by the law of karma and is free. Because his mind is on the Atma, or it has been dissolved into the Atma. His vasana can only elevate it towards the Atma, to the absolute oneness with the Brahma. So when this person leaves the body, the mortal body, he is born no more. Because we are born because of certain desires. There's no desire, no birth. He is said to have attained the immortal unification with Brahma. So this is what he's telling us in this particular verse. Let me read that direct translation again and see if all your questions have been answered. The entire universe, although appear to be continuing, is perishing and forever changing. The Brahman indeed is permanent, everlasting, and is undifferentiated and taintless, with clear intellect and serenely focused mind. See, this is what we need to do. This is the sadhana. With clear intellect and serenely focused mind, whoever engages in the steadfast contemplation of this truth attains the infinite knowledge, in the flame of which all his burdens, due from past, present, and future actions, are completely burned. Completely accepts the prevailing bodily existence as only due to his past actions. So whatever is happening, the kind of a body we have, and what kind of a main occurrences happen in this life, it's because of the prarabdha, and accepts it and goes with it peacefully. Merely be the witness to its consequences, such a person is the Guru. This is my conclusive wisdom, he says. Okay, so he's telling us to keep on doing our sadhana, where we keep on purifying. See, on one hand, we got to have this truth, theoretical knowledge also. On the second hand, we got to just go through this life, learn how not to create more karmas with this Jnana Agni, the fire of knowledge, just to learn how to burn all of it. That's how the mind gets clean. That's how the intellect gets clean and heart gets clean. Only we know what are we doing. Okay, so I hope it's clear to you. Now let's look at the fourth verse. And I did send you this also last night, fourth and the fifth. First line is Ya Triyag Nar Devatabhir Aham iti Antaha Safuta Grihate. This is the first line. Second line, Yad Bhashaha Hriday Aksh Deha Vishyaha Bhanti Swato Chetnaha. Third line, Tam Bhasyehe Pihita Arkamandal Nibham Safurtim Sada Bhavya. And the fourth line, Yogihi Nirvrithaha Manasohi Guru iti yeshaha manīṣā mama. So the first line, Ya means which. Over here, this means which knowledge. Triyag, that means in animals. Nar, human beings. Devatabhir, gods and all. Devata. Aham iti amtaha, creates the existence of I, aham. Safuta, clearly, grihyate, realized. Second line, Yad bhasa, by which means Hriday Aksh Deha Vishyaha, mind, eye, and such instruments of perception. Gross body and things, Vishya. Bhanti, perform the functions. Savato Chetnaha, insentient bodies acquire intelligent. Savato Chetna. Bhashye, Tam Bhashye, by which means Bhashya actually means the illumination of which shows the existence, like organs of perception, the knowledge. Pihita, clouding. Arkamandal, the sun. Nibham, that means this is an example. Sufurthim, complete, everlasting. Atma. Sada bhavyam, whoever holds forever in their contemplation. Bhavam. Yogi, who is absorbed in this complete knowledge. Yogi, who has gotten the union. Nirvritaha, perfectly happy. Manasohi, within the mind. Guru iti is the real Guru. Yesha, who inculcates this concept. Manīṣā mam, my conclusive wisdom. The knowledge by which all life forms, animals, human beings, and the gods, Devatas. project the I consciousness by which the mind, the organs of perceptions, and such otherwise insentient bodies appear to become alive, and which is the source of light, yet being eclipsed by the very mind that is lit due to its presence. That is the supreme knowledge. And whoever has the steadfast contemplation and complete gratification on this wisdom is the Guru. This is my conclusive wisdom, he says. Looks like this fourth and the fifth verse, these verses are declared to expand on the knowledge already revealed in the first two verses. Question comes into our mind, is the I consciousness, this aham bhava, applicable only to the human beings? Or is it true for all life forms? So he answered that question right here in this verse. Besides, independent of the I consciousness, the instruments such as the mind and the organs of perception, and you all know the organs of perception, the sense indriya, they seem to have their local intelligence. So that's why he tried to clear this little doubt which can be in our mind. So he says, notion of I exists in all lives. But the ego or the I, which is the identification with the bodies, is not real. The true I is the self, which is the infinite knowledge. Only due to the self, the mind, the organs, the bodies come to life. Only the light of the self shines through the mind and the body. Without the light of the self, all these are unanimated and insentient. We know that. But a doubt is raised, and he tried to clear that for us in this verse. Doubt is that if the self is light eternally shining within, why is not directly comprehensible? He says that it is eclipsed by the mind. How can the mind eclipse the Atma? If the mind itself is lighted by the Atma, how is it possible for the mind to hide the view of the Atma? That's why he gives us the example. The sun cannot be hidden by the clouds. But yet we speak of the sun being hidden by the clouds. And when we say that the sun is hidden by the clouds, we only mean that the cloud is blocking our view of the sun. That doesn't mean that sun is gone away. The cloud does not and cannot hide the sun. We all know that even the existence of the cloud is due to the light of the sun only. The same way the mind exists only due to the Atma. But due to avidya or ignorance, the mind is blanketing our comprehension of the self. It just only creates a veil, doesn't let us see it. Shankaracharya ji is saying that whoever understands this and completely contemplates on this wisdom, he alone is the yogi and the Guru. is absolutely fulfilled. This is the Manisha that is revealed in this verse. So the absolute bliss is the ultimate benefit of self-realization. Absolutely bliss. So sometimes we wonder that why do we need to go through all this exercise for this absolute bliss? Everything else also in this world we do for happiness. But we get a temporary happiness. But this will give us permanent bliss. To attain the permanent bliss, we need to practice this. And this is indicated here further in the next verse, the verse number 5. Okay, it's a deep wisdom in all these 5 verses. So he's telling us what the goal is. He's telling us what do we need to do it. And once we do it, what will we gain? So I'm going to leave the 5th verse for next week. So let's stop it here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much.